welcome into episode 101 of About the Cards podcast live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, host Stephen Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins.
Howdy.
Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We're a podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Live. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Available podcast everywhere. Check out the website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. We have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Brian Leaf, or Brian Gray of Leaf, the CEO, hanging out with us tonight. Going to spend the first segment of the show with us and talk some trading cards and different things going on in the hobby. And we're going to talk about his brand as well. So welcome, Brian. Thanks for making some time tonight.
Yeah, sure. No, I love talking cards, good and bad, and debating and everything. I love it all.
I like how you're wearing your initial hat. I got mine on tonight, and so we'll have some fun. We got to find. We were trying to find one for Ben before, but we'll see if we can locate one. And Steph's head's too big for a hat, so
that's true.
So real quick, Brian, let's get into it. So how did you come to own the Leaf brand? Give us a little background on that.
I'll make that part really brief because I've told this story like 1,000 times. I've done everything in collecting. I was a show dealer when I was in high school. I worked for one of the biggest distributors after that. I worked for ProSet for a year. I owned stores. I owned a huge distribution business and eventually became a manufacturer with Razor. And, we made draft pick baseball cards. We signed 26 of the 30 top picks in the 2018 draft exclusive. And then in 2010, we got so lucky the name Leaf became available. Donruss was renting the name. And I guess when Panini bought them, they decided not to rent it anymore. And we saw the opportunity of a lifetime to buy that brand and to use that as a springboard to try to take player licensed products from being sage-ish and press pass-ish and turn them into the next level. And so obviously getting the Leaf brand was huge. And since then, it's just been a huge growth. We make 50 products, 45 products, something like this every year now. And it's grown into a big company. So we've been very blessed that, that was a great springboard for us. But you don't want to hear all that stuff. I heard your show last week. Surely you want to get straight into the meat.
Oh no, I appreciate you. Listen, no,
I thought like we were in Minnesota or something. This was like a rally against me or something. I thought you guys were holding up signs.
No, and we always have some fun, and I think that a lot of it too is, we don't have any sponsorships here, and so that's the big thing. We try to put everything out there and be as open as promised. But what I want to do is I want to give some background and get some ideas and stuff because I can tell you there's Leaf product I have in my collection. I have a Lynette Woodard whole autograph run from a few years ago, and I have all of the printing plates.
Well, that's cool.
My grandpa was when she was in high school. My grandpa was her athletic director, and I've met her. She's a wonderful lady. And so your product brought her into cards, and she was like the first female globetrotter. She played at KU. She was amazing.
She's awesome.
And so that's something there. So we want to have this as an open forum. I want to talk a little about Leaf. I want to talk about your takes on certain things in the hobby, and then we're going to get into some other topics as well.
Sure.
But what is your most successful release every year? What one do you look forward to the most?
Our draft football is huge, and I think the hobby products have gotten – what we've done with metal football is we've turned a player licensed product into a product that's traded like a licensed product. And that's never really happened. If you look at the old Sage or Press Pass products, they're basic entry-level kind of products. And I think we've tried to take, player licensed products to a premium level. And so metal football is one of our biggest, most successful releases every year. But we also have we have such a range of stuff, and we're really not easy to put into a cookie cutter. Oh, they make hockey, like you'd say about Upper Deck, or they make Marvel like Upper Deck. That's about all you can say. With us, it's a very wide range of things. Some of the products I love making, some of them I hate making, but I still make them because whatever people want, we have to supply. That's our job because we can't tell people what to collect. That's one of the worst things in this hobby is people are so critical of everybody else and what they collect. It really is. It's like disgusting. Like I hate that. And so we want to make things that give people a wide range of things to collect. And you're going to love some, you're going to hate some, but that's our job is to give you a range to choose from.
And I have a question. We talked about this last week. I think we talked about Leaf Metal and how there were 30 some odd parallels, and some of them are very close in name. And what's the reason behind you have it was like blue and like clear blue, and then so in a product like that where you have a run of around 85 different subjects, there's then 35 or so parallels.
Yeah, basically, I mean, when you say clear blue or whatever, those are just the proofs that are used to make the cards. But like until this year, we've never had more than 14 parallels, I believe, in metal football. This year we doubled down. I think it's 32 total colors, parallels, like between like what we call crystal, which some people call cracked ice, mojo, waves, and base, refractor, prism, whatever you want to call it. You know, so we call it prismatic. You know, so what we found is the print runs are getting bigger. And with a limited number of subjects, without making a bunch of BS insert sets that no one cares about, paralleling is the best way to preserve value for the customer. And the guys who are like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who are like, they just want that guy, it gives them more to collect than just an autograph or two.
Okay.
Which, you know, and the thing about our product is by making as many, the parallels the way we do, making the big players easy to hit. It's not like Bowman Chrome Baseball where Dominguez costs you $1,200 or $1,300. We give you Dominguez every other case in metal baseball. That's why they go for only $300 or $400. We make them very available. And so we think that's an important option when there's 2 companies or 3 companies making products. Someone's got to make these autographs available. So we like the paralleling because it makes the autographs available, preserves value. And I think this year, you look at the values, people like the crystals and they like the mojos. They like those new things we introduced. So I'd stand behind. And 32, honestly, that's about what there is in a Prism basketball, I think. Maybe even less. We may be less than Prism basketball.
Yeah.
Not counting the
Walmart, Target, Fanatics, whatever. You know, it's crazy.
not counting the printing plates as their own. I counted 42.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there's
they just
no,
work with like 8 or 9 of each.
Yeah, and so it's I always like to get some background. So when we bring something up there, so what is your favorite release that you've ever done since you've had Leaf?
I love Pop Century. I mean, because it's just different than everything else out there. There you go. Boom. Leaf. Love it.
My answer, Leaf Trinity.
There you go. But yeah, that's a great set. But for me, it's Pop Century because, again, you'll see some entertainment products out there, but there's never one product that covers the gamut like we do. And if you look back at our checklist over the years, Harrison Ford, J-Lo, Britney Spears, Donald Trump, Kate Beckinsale, Al Pacino, Daisy Ridley. I mean, that's bad. That's a kick butt checklist. Over the years, the names we've accumulated are amazing. And it's one of those things where I just feel like we're able to supply names that you're never going to get a certified Trump auto on card if it weren't for Leaf.
You know what? Real quick, BG, you know what I loved about Pop Century was Cryptozoic had the license for Sons of Anarchy, and we had talked about Sons of Anarchy right before the show started. And, you know, we all share a love for that television show. Well, I was trying to build the entire motorcycle club for my wife, all of the autos through Cryptozoic, but there was one main cast member, my favorite, Mark Boone Jr., who did not sign for Cryptozoic. Now, I had to go grab a Pop Century, and I was glad that there was one because it allowed me to add him to the collection, even though it's not the same, but it allows me to say I've got the complete motorcycle club's autograph, you know, all the members, because Leaf was able to supplement that one particular auto. So, you know, Pop Century, for me, I've got quite a few of them, in fact, in my non-sports collection.
Yeah, and that's our plan. It's just to try to give people different things to collect. And, you know, we've had a number of people that just – it's been crazy over the years when we've come out with sets. People have actually – until like last year, we had never had a year where 3 people did not die within 60 days of release either way. That were in the set. It was just crazy. But
That's
it gives
interesting.
people opportunities to collect guys that never would have had a card otherwise. And I love that. I think that's what the whole – again, I keep saying it because that's why we exist. If people do not want variety – they could get by with just Don Panini. Panini could run the whole business. They do a great job on some things. And I think they can do a really good job, but people need a choice. I mean, and so we want to give them as many choices as possible. And, you know, some people will like those choices and some won't.
Yeah, no, definitely. We had a few listeners reach out to us recently and just saying, and one, this is minus the COVID-19 months that we've been in with product dates and stuff being moved, because that was out of everyone's control. But there were a few people, specifically there was a couple smaller breakers that reached out to us that, you know, were upset with maybe moving release dates around and not coming out as scheduled, and wanted to kind of get behind and wanted to know maybe what was the reason, if it's getting more content in. Because I know one thing is you don't like to have redemptions if you can help it, and if that's part of it. But like sometimes there are moving release dates, and what goes into that and why.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the first thing is during COVID, we were the only company putting stuff out every week because the factories were shut down. So because people like Panini and Topps use traditional packaging, that has to come off these traditional lines, they had no way to package their products. We package all our material in our building. We have a 30,000 square foot warehouse in Dallas. We package everything at home. And so we were able to, in our building, continue whipping out products. So we had products every week during COVID. And the breaker community was very thankful to have products to sell because the existing wax product prices have gotten stupid. Like it's gotten to the point to where, I don't know how you can buy a box at some of these crazy prices and not have your head examined. Right. And I make cards, and I'm saying this because it's gotten out of control. And I just feel like at this point, we did a great job getting stuff out. Right now, the biggest challenge with draft football is that when we had cards, because we do on-card on Flash and Valiant and Trinity, we're shipping cards to the players where they were located. But when COVID happened, they were stuck at a different location. And there was no other way to retrieve cards from one location and get them to another. Panini's got the same problem. And it's so funny. Some of the guys are very irresponsible. And every so often, I'll get a call from Panini. They'll say, "Hey, Justin Jefferson sent us your cards." And I'll say, "Well, that's funny because Cam Akers just sent me yours." And so these guys, even when they have the cards, they don't ship it to the right place half the time. And it's very hard. But the good news is we don't have too many delays. And like this year, we got Metal Football out in February. That's unheard of to come out with a football draft product in February that's that level of quality, that's made with Chrome technology. That's pretty amazing. And so we had to delay Flash a couple weeks, but generally we think we've just totally knocked it out of the park, getting stuff out during COVID without missing a beat. Even though there were really not that many employees in our office, we just worked really hard to get these things out.
Okay. We have a couple questions here in the chat. One specifically about Leaf Perfect Game. So how do you go about doing that? Because you're getting like younger kids involved in that and getting their high school players.
Sure.
One of the guys in here in the chat saying he's a big fan of Tristan Cassius and Nolan Gorman and Jared Kalenic. So, and also some little lesser known products. So how do you know to go and who to look for to sign and include in these products?
Well, we have contracts for the All-American football game and Perfect Game baseball. Topps used to have Perfect Game. And then I think it became apparent that it was time to take that to the next level and do more with it, which we were doing, I think. And so because of those relationships and sponsorships, we have access to get autographs. And we actually have photographers at the games shooting the games. We have a presence at the games. And so we're very active in really being huge promoters of these events. Because honestly, that's how they can happen. If it weren't for sponsors, these events don't happen. And team deals aren't big enough to make the events happen by themselves.
And I have a question with high school talent. If they were to sign with you, how does that work with their amateur status?
We can't pay the players.
Okay.
We don't pay the players at all. We pay the organization, and each player signs some amount of autographs for the product to help promote the game.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't pay amateur players. You can't do that.
I always kind of had that the back of my head with some of this stuff. Like you see, with the high school American stuff. When those guys are, coming into college, how are they playing football? And they also have autographed cards. So I think a lot of collectors have that question. So that's good.
I love it. To me, it's like Bowman football. It gives you a chance to prospect. And if you look at what Trevor Lawrence stuff has gone for, our Super Prismatic, which is like a superfractor, sold for $7,000. For a Trevor Lawrence card, sold for $7,000. A lot of cards sold for $1,000. Tua's were consistently $300, $400, $500 while he was in college. So those cards get a ton of intrigue. And again, it's great to give collectors a chance. If you're an LSU guy, you could have had an Army card of Justin Jefferson. Or, if you're a Florida guy, when Tim Tebow played, had we been making the cards then, you could have had a Tebow card when he was in the Army game. That's pretty cool, I think. I think it's pretty cool.
So to kind of follow that up a little bit on specific players and getting people excited, I'm a big A's collector, and I've got to have everything A's, and I search specific players every day, and and I come across Leaf products as I search Jose Canseco, for instance, right, which he was featured along with Reggie Jackson in Lumber Kings. I see that product, and it just doesn't have that same spark as it does when I see Topps and Panini products. So my question to you would be, how would you get somebody like me excited, knowing you already have my attention?
Sure.
How do you get somebody like myself excited about your product specifically in comparison to the other manufacturers?
Well, to me, it's really simple. To me, it depends where you're looking for value. Does the picture on the shirt mean enough to you? The logo, does that mean enough to you to sacrifice content when you're buying? If you're buying boxes, if you're buying singles, you're obviously paying a much premium price for those cards. Some of the cards we make, you could never make under an MLB license because we make cards that feature current players across sports, where you can pull Brady, LeBron, Mario Lemieux or Yager, and this guy, 4 current superstars. An MLB license will never let you mix sports like that. So we're able to make some unique combinations and pairings that you can't normally make. But we try to look at it on the box level. And we try to say, look at what you get in a box of Leaf. And yes, the cards don't go for as much as their Bowman or Panini counterpart. But you're getting 4 or 5 decent autographs in a box. You're not getting some fullback from, Stony Brook. You're not getting that in our box. Our worst player is like upper middle of the road for the other guys. And so, again, we're going to look more at the value. And again, we sell it by the box. So most of our concern is making sure providing value to those consumers. And we hope that people who are looking for real memorabilia that's really game used, that they will see value in what we're making. Because we do spend a fortune on real game used material versus there's some products out there now that have player worn of guys that have been retired for 30 years. That's a little bit different. Some people will find value in that, and that's awesome. But, I think I find more value in real game used of everybody, with the exception of like a Trinity where we do player worn because there is no game used to buy or what have you.
That brings us to the next thing. So laundry tags are really loved and coveted by collectors sometimes. And we all know that certain companies use larger jerseys to make them player worn. So again, they get more material, the more swatches with less jerseys put on. I mean, we all remember Mark Ingram, the rookie premier, and was that 2011 wearing about 75 jerseys at once.
Oh yeah, I love that picture.
But we've seen products where players, this is just an example of size. The size of Jose Altuve coming out in their laundry tag is a 5XL laundry tag. So yeah. My question is, what is your thoughts in putting where a guy's 5'11", $195, and he's got I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3", 350 plus. I don't wear a 5XL.
Oh, I'm not a small potato either.
And so what I'm saying is like you see that, and this is a tiny guy wearing a 5XL, and that's the laundry tag. Wouldn't you just have him wear one jersey that was their size and use that laundry? I mean, what are your thoughts when you see that pop out?
First off, we stop jerseys, and the reason we do this is to give us flexibility. Because like Jason Dominguez, we could not get a deal done until the very last second. And if we had not had Yankees jerseys in stock to send him, he wouldn't be in Trinity as a patch. So we were like at the dead last second. So we stock stuff. So first off, we have to have a one-size-fits-all mentality. But we don't use 5X generally because, first off, they're hard to get. Bigger guys, we know how hard it is. Go try to buy a Brady Bucks jersey and bigger than a 2XL. It's like it's like pulling hen's teeth. You're not finding it. So, but he's my favorite player, so I've actually looked. But with that being said, we don't use 5X because that is kind of excessive. And we feel terrible sending some little skinny speedster wide receiver a 5X that will make him look like he's in his death shroud. We want to send him something reasonable. So we usually do 2Xs and 3Xs, but we want to make sure also we don't send a guy a jersey so small he like sticks it on his arm like an armband. We want him to put it on and wear the jersey.
Yeah, no, definitely. Are you concerned at all? We talked a little bit before the show about the Tiger King stuff and about Carol Baskin and her cards being affiliated with Leaf. If something were ever to come, if she was ever convicted of the crime that dealt with her husband's her first husband's disappearance that Joe so prominently spoke about on the documentary. Does that ever cross your mind, or is it like having an OJ auto from before when he was a sportscaster?
You know what? You may not know this, but we have OJ autos in our product now. We're the only company with OJ autographs and memorabilia cards. We have a deal with OJ. But again, we don't tell people what to collect. And if someone pulls something out of our box that offends them, burn that, man. That'd be fun to watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or sell it and buy something you like because someone else will value that. So to us, especially on a Baskin, because we didn't put that in the pack, we had the option of putting those in Pop Century, the autographs. And we chose not to because someone who buys Pop Century may not appreciate that card, even though it's worth considerably more than the average autograph. You know? Okay. So, but that's why we make it available on the website. The only people that bought it were the people that wanted it. And that's great. We sold out. We're done with it. We're not going back and doing 5 more deals with her. It was just something really pop culturally relevant.
Anybody else from the show you might try to get a deal with? There's a lot of characters on that show.
We've been offered all the like Safi, and we've been offered we've been offered most of the lesser people on the show, the Wave Runner guy. We've been offered all of them. As soon as we came out with Carol Baskin, they all came out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
But we're obviously shooting big. If we're gonna do anything else Tiger King, it's go big or go home time. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can pull magic out of a bag.
All right, well that's cool. I think Steph is just trying to buy you a jersey right now. He's sharing his screen.
Yeah, let's see.
The largest size is 3X.
They've gotten better in the last few weeks because they had nothing like 2 weeks ago, and I was bummed.
No, you know what I'm disappointed in with real quick on this is the Bucks did not go to the creamsicle jersey, bring in Brady. That's the one thing. That's the best jersey they've ever had.
That would be cool.
So let's get into a couple of different hobby topics now that we kind of covered some Leaf stuff, and I appreciate you taking our questions because we want to kind of give a full background as we do this. But, over the last year, and it's kind of been lost a little bit, there was the grading and trimming scandal. And, that dealt with, cards not marking up I know you probably checked all the blowout forum stuff where people were pinpointing cards and saying, hey, this is the same card that was regraded and it got a better grade. And it now it's been sold on PWCC or it was with Probstein or whoever. And there's some lawsuits there. But what are your general thoughts about the grading and trimming stuff that's been brought to light the last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I think there clearly is an issue because there are cards that are altered that make it into holders. Now, I think that people's estimates of how many that is probably massively overestimated. I would guess that it may be 2 to 3% of slabs max. I do not think it's 20% of slabs or anything crazy like that. Now, with that being said, 1 is too many if it hurts someone. So we obviously got to try to find a way to fix these issues. Now, the problem is, and I think I told you kind of when we talked this week just for fun, the problem is that PSA, Beckett, SGC, they have a tolerance. This mainly applies to trimming, like a card being short. And they say, you know what? Not every card, even when made by the manufacturer, is exactly perfectly sized. So they're just a little bit small, like a little short. And so PSA, Beckett, SGC say, well, if it's within a 30-second, that's close enough. Because that's the variance when a manufacturer prints. The problem is that's exactly how much you need to trim a card. So people that are trimming, a 30 seconds enough to clean something up. So what needs to happen, really, in my opinion, is the grading companies should get rid of the tolerance. Collectors who send in cards that get graded are going to be pissed because they're going to send in their cards and they're going to send them back and say evidence of trimming or short, minimum size, even though they came straight out of the pack. And you guys are all going to be pissed, but this is how we keep short cards out of slabs. This will fix 80% of it. Yeah. There are some very smart alterers who have figured out how to press a card to make it bigger. It actually makes the card oversized when you press it. Then they can trim it down to actually be exactly the correct size. That's a brutal one. Then you have to take every single card and take a caliper and try to figure out the thickness. But then what if there's a variance there? Then what are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to allow any variance in thickness. I mean, so this is not a simple issue. It really is not. And I think there are problems. There are guys that are bad apples and bad actors out there. I don't believe the grading companies are turning a blind eye to it. I think it's like any other criminal or bad type element. The crooks are usually 2 steps ahead of the authorities in finding new ways to deceive people. And I think that's a challenge that the grading companies are facing right now. And as a huge consumer of graded cards, I'm going to have to kind of accept that my investment portfolio's probably got 2 to 3% of my cards that are trimmed. And I think that's a reasonable – I can live with that. And the reason why is go on eBay right now and try to buy 93 SP Jeters that are clean.
Now, why would you have any cards in an investment portfolio considering they're not commodities and they're not investments?
Well, they're only investments if you go by the dictionary definition of an investment.
But they're not. You're speculating. You're buying something to cover market inefficiency.
The definition of investing is to allocate money with the expectation of some future benefit.
Yeah, over the long term, not over the course of 3 to 5 days.
Land, it can be wine. It can be art. Why do you buy art? Is art really an investment?
It's popularly accepted outside of our hobby. See, the problem is
I would care about Mona Lisa, which is altered.
There's no intrinsic value whatsoever in a trading card. It's just a picture of a man, a woman, an athlete, whatever. All you're doing is you're speculating. I'm buying at X to sell at Y to profit Z. That's it. Cards are not investments.
Is the Mona Lisa an investment?
That's different because people popular.
Picture of a lady and she's not even good looking. I mean, It's horrible.
But see, that's the difference because if I walked into a grocery store and I said, I'm hungry and I need this loaf of bread and I don't have any cash, I do have this authentic Mona Lisa, somebody's going to give me a loaf of bread. If I walk in there and say, listen, I got a Jason Dominguez 1-of-1 superfractor and I need this loaf of bread, people are going to be like, what the hell is that?
No, if you showed him eBay, people are smart enough to do that.
Yeah, and honestly,
but now I got to start scrolling through sold listings, and people are going to laugh at me, and they're like, "Listen, dude, you're not serious enough to want this bread."
And no one's going to believe your Mona Lisa is real either, and it was altered.
I've got a PSA Joe Orlando authentication saying it's not trimmed.
Yeah, right. I'm with you on that. I mean, there's an issue there, but I think as an investment. It's been more widely accepted than about half of the alternative investments.
As a speculative opportunity.
Better than Bitcoin and all this garbage. That's total garbage. It's just something real. Something real. You can touch it. Unlike digital cards and screensaver cards, which are the biggest trick ever. I don't understand.
I did that the other day. I mean, somebody was selling an AJ Puck for $5.99, so I right-clicked on his eBay listing, and I saved it as a JPEG, and then I posted on Twitter, and I said, now listen, everybody, don't you save it too. This is mine. And then people are saving it, and it's like, now it's not a 1-on-1 anymore.
And I trimmed it.
You trimmed it.
You trimmed it when you did the picture. Perfect.
And now there's 14 copies, but the good news is I saved $6. But as a fat guy, I went and bought myself a Big Mac, and so, hey,
Well, I see in the comments people don't want my hat, or they don't like Shep's hat, so I'm going to take mine off just to
this is my show. If I want to do this thing topless, I would do it topless.
I mean, I'm not scared. I'm not scared to confront guys who talk a bunch of garbage, like some of the guys in chats. I'll take my hat off. I don't know how to spell my name. It's cool, But no, with that being said, I think anything can be an investment. And most investments are speculation. If you're buying DraftKings stock right now at $40, which I have some in my portfolio, that's a speculation. It's not.
But here's the thing. Basically, the trading card hobby is like day trading, right? I'm buying it, and I'm gonna flip it the second that I get enough of a value differential in order to feel like I've profited enough, right? That's really what it comes down to.
My vision's pretty long term for trading cards on.
It's day trading for most people because the second that it hops, listen, I'm PCing such and such, and then. Wait a minute. eBay says, oh, it's now worth this? I mean, I've got a Mark McGuire collection that I could sell for 7,000% over what I paid for it because right now the hobby is going stupid over his stuff with anticipation of this documentary. But the thought process is I didn't buy it to sell it, but there's a lot of people whose PC changes on a dime. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, I got into an argument one time with this guy when Malek Smith got traded from Atlanta, and he's like, trading my Smith collection for Braves cards. And I'm like, time out. He's a Brave. He goes, not anymore. I'm like, but on the card, he's a Brave. And he's like, but he's not a Brave anymore. And I'm like, listen, dude, I'm an A's fan.
Honestly, that's the problem with the business. It's hard to PC anything now because there's too much to PC.
There is. But that's why you shouldn't flip it the second that something happens, because as an A's fan, I'd be flipping my collection every other week because they just don't keep their players.
But honestly, you should be selling 84 Topps Maguires now or 85 Topps Maguires because they're a terrible buy now. That's one of the worst buys in the hobby. That card and 86 Donruss Canseco's are the horrible buys.
Yeah, if you're buying right now, if you're a seller who's not attached to these, it's absolutely the right time to sell this stuff because people are buying. But the problem's going to be in 3 months because right now you're buying on top of the bell curve. And you can't buy then. That's the worst time to buy.
I agree with you on Maguire, but I would say like things like 89 score Barry Sanders and 89 Upper Deck Griffey's. I have no problem. Those cards have not gone up in value in 15 years. Of course, they're going parabolic once people realize there's value there. That's why
maybe we were too. And my thing is maybe on some of these cards we were too low for too long.
That's it.
And people considered it so much junk and got out of the hobby, and that's why. And they're kind of creeping back up a little bit. I want to get a couple.
Yeah, if I can interject here, good question from chat. Fuck you. Foul Ball, which hi by the way, said, "Is Leaf hobby only, or do you sell in retail?" Now, I know that you've had a couple retail issues in the past, like the Babe Ruth set.
Yeah, things like that. We're usually 1 to 2 products a year for retail.
Okay.
We'll make retail football, which you guys thought you could see through. And I can't even see through it with my glasses. And then occasionally we'll do a special product like Babe Ruth or something like that. But, our retail football we only make because we know how popular it is, and it sells out every year through Walmart, Target. It's an entry-level product where a person can get 2 autographs for $19.99. I mean, come on. That's solid. But we don't make much for retail. We focus on higher-end hobby products.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get back to a little bit of the grading thing. So there was some stuff that was talked about over the last year about Joe Clemens, who's one of your employees, and Black Label Joe, or some people I think called him was like Laser Eyes or Eagle Eye. There we go. And getting so many black labels, and we talked, and you and I talked previously on the phone about this, about different. There was some obscure stuff that it was grading and getting 10s and white grade cards like that. We brought up on the show, we talked like there had, to get that many pristines, and we don't see as many, and one person's getting so much. I think it obviously opens up people's eyes and like, hey, what's going on here? And I want to see if you could address that at all, or if he has, because he worked at Beckett and now he's getting these really good grades. It leads to some assumptions there about what's happening behind the scenes.
Sure. Now I can first speak to Leaf. The only thing we get really black labels on is Valiant. And we have 30,000 cards that are being picked through to find the best 6,000. And that's how we have 6,000 that make 9 5s and 10s. There aren't that many. There's some black labels. It's not crazy. But again, metal cards are the easiest thing to hit. And if you remember, we're looking through our entire print run to pick out the very best cards to submit. So that I think that's really easy to understand. I don't think that takes a lot of crazy thinking to understand. Now, in terms of Joe's stuff, I will say that I don't know a lot about his business, except I think he's pretty smart, and that there are certain issues that are incredibly easy to grade. Things like 2012 Prism Baseball. Now, that Trout's become a huge card all of a sudden, but for a long time, those cards are worthless. You could BGS 10 almost every single Bo Jackson and George Brett, and you're like, who's going to grade a 30-cent Prism George Brett? Well, when you get $50 for a 10 and you buy it in a quarter box, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's anything unusual about that if you're really smart. Now, with that being said, one thing I can say, we don't talk about lawsuits we're involved in, but I will tell you on this topic because it's off topic. I know that in our lawsuit with Upper Deck, Joe Clemens was deposed by Upper Deck, and they asked him about his Beckett account and treatment, just because, again, when you're in a lawsuit, you dig for things even that have nothing to do with the price of apples. I'm sure people asked him what I had for breakfast that morning when I was deposed, but they asked him, and he said, I got no special treatment from Beckett, under oath. Then they deposed Jeremy Murray, the head of Beckett. And under oath, Jeremy Murray at Beckett said, Joe Clemens gets no special treatment from Beckett in terms of grades. These are under oath. So now, if both guys lied under oath, light them up. I'm telling you, there's people want to believe, because they sent 20 cards in and didn't even look at them before they graded them, and they got 7 8s, 3 8 5s, and 10 9s, and they're like, "What the heck? I never get 9 5s." There are people who tell me they never get 9 5s.
Yeah, but
looking for cards. I mean, for real.
Here's the thing: a lot of people historically have lied under oath. So I mean that's weak. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to challenge the guy's integrity necessarily, but the optics are extremely bad because if you're grading card after card, nobody hits 21 on that many consecutive hands of blackjack. You just don't.
Well, the problem is we don't know how they enter them in their system. We don't know that. We don't know how many cards he submitted. Did he submit 10 only? We don't know that. We don't know if he submitted 3,000 cards, 8,000 cards, 20,000 cards. And when they process them in batches. And maybe black is a different color label, so they did all those together. We don't know any of that information. And I believe the guy on the blowout board that looked at Joe's account, he saw everything. He saw all the lower grade stuff too. He just didn't talk about that because that's not as much fun, is it? I mean, really. You guys don't ever come out and say, "Oh, Brian, no controversy this week. What a great guy." It's only fun when there's something fun.
Hey, whoa.
You keep Twitter entertaining for us all.
We have said nice things about you in the past. I don't know what time or date. We don't have a date stamped.
But we're going to have to get in the DeLorean to go back and find it probably. But
we would have to. I mean.
But see, I'll tell you on that topic real quick, just because I don't want to forget. You guys mentioned something last week about when I put on Twitter what I'm buying off eBay.
Yeah.
The reason I do that is because unlike some of these people who tout cards, I want to tell collectors the second I'm buying what I'm buying. It actually hurts me because guys who follow my Twitter will compete with me to buy these cards. I don't have positions on these cards. I'm just buying them for the first time when I post it because I think it's always been fair. It's more fair if you're very transparent about what you buy.
But why mention, because you and I have gotten into this before, where you've told me exactly how much money you're spending. Usually the guy at the bar that's going around saying my blank is X inches probably doesn't have an X inch blank. And he's probably driving a fully loaded truck that's way off the ground that won't go through the McDonald's drive-thru.
How about this? If you've been at the National, next time we have a National, you can sit at my booth and watch. We'll spend $500,000 in cash at the National.
But why does it matter how much you spend? Why go around? Why go around and go? I just spent $50,000 today on John Stockton 9s.
Why do brokerages tell customers we have a strong buy on this and we own 12% of the company? Why
brokerages are real companies, and they invest
some of them
money. They hold portfolios and stock. And are you listening to this?
Yeah, stock isn't worth anything unless the underlying company provides profits that get paid out to the shareholders. It's still there's so many companies that will never make a penny that are worth $10 billion, and these companies will never make a freaking penny. So like to take this position that just because it trades on an exchange, I can find you a bunch of dog crap that trades on the stock exchange. I follow that pretty closely. I can show you tons of garbage.
If you follow the stock exchange very closely, then you should agree with my point that the stock market and cards are not unilaterally the same. They're different.
There's two differences between the two. Now, besides they could kick out profits that you someday get your hands on. The two bigger things are the stock market has much greater liquidity, no doubt. You can push a button and buy 500 shares of Apple or sell 500 shares of Apple, no problem. But cards have something stocks don't, which is a uniquely extraordinary finite supply. And even cards that are overprinted, in the scope of supply is extremely constrained.
Tell that to 1990 Donruss then.
You don't tell it to 1990 Fleer and suddenly Jordan PSA 10s are 250. Things happen. Maybe it takes a little. 89 Griffey's one of the most overprinted cards of all time.
So let me ask you this: if we all decided tomorrow that we're all done collecting and we're all going to cash out, then you have 100% sellers, you have 0% buyers, right? If you take a company that is cash insolvent, right? I'll use a company I used to work for, Hostess, that had no operating cash flow to open tomorrow. The bakers went on strike, and the CEO said, "We're done. Liquidate everything." They refused to pay 20,000 people earned pensions and vacations, but yet they sold for $3.2 billion. And how did they do that? Because they had assets. Why? Because they had commodities. They had brands. Cards have no intrinsic value outside of the fact that we say, hey, I'm going to buy a George Brett, or I'm going to buy a Kirby Puckett, or I'm going to buy a Mark McGuire because that's cool. Or, hey, we're going to buy a Carol Baskin auto because if that lady goes down if that lady goes to prison for something that she did that was nefarious, then I'm going to sell this. It's all I'm doing is speculating. I'm not investing. I'm speculating.
Some people collected the Carol Baskin cards, but as long as there are guys like me that are willing to put everything we own into cards, if the price is right, I promise you, there's not enough assets for cards to go to zero. There's not enough assets. This world's going to have to fall apart in a COVID multiplied by the Great Depression multiplied by World War III for this hobby to go zero.
After this last month, we might be headed there.
It feels like it. Hey, after us arguing here about stupid investment cards, I feel like it. But being serious, I think that's what's beautiful about this game, this business, this hobby, is you can see it as a hobby or a business or an investment. And that's one of the things that's great about it is it can be whatever you want it to be. The same way wine can get you drunk, or if you put away the right wine, it can get you rich. Land is great for having a house to let your kids go play in the yard. And it's also great for flipping for a nice profit when Nebraska Furniture Mart wants to build a 1 million square foot store.
Yeah. So cards are investments, right? I'm going to buy all the John Stocktons on eBay today.
For some people, cards are investments.
I'm gonna flip them in 30 days. Okay.
Or 5 years. I have a much longer business.
Nope. 30-day window. Under 2-year window. Do you file taxes against capital gains laws in the state of Texas?
Oh yeah, I declare all my gains and losses, 100%.
Because people don't, and that's where the falls off the rails. Because
that's a different crime. That's called tax evasion. I agree.
You have to file. You have to file taxes. And now if it's an investment and not a hobby. Because if it's a hobby, it's just something like, hey, I'm cleaning out my garage and I'm selling it.
You still have to pay
if I'm buying
gains.
If I'm buying it today and I'm looking to flip it for profit tomorrow, now all of a sudden, now it's real. Now it's a business. It's not a hobby anymore. A hobby and a business can't run simultaneously.
Well, the hobby is a business because someone's got to sell you all this stuff if you're a collector. So,
but if you're collecting, it's not a business. If all you're doing is collecting, for me, it's not a business. All I do is collect.
What I would tell you is if it weren't for the people who see this as a value-oriented collecting or an investment side of the business, if those people did not exist, you wouldn't have anything to collect past 1990. Why
do you love the word investing so much? I've already told you it's not an investment.
Guess what? You wouldn't have anything to collect anymore. There'd be no Oakland A's cards. You realize Topps would go away?
There would, because I can make them at home because I enjoy it. I could make them myself.
No, in the Baskin card, a Whataburger.
You don't like the word investment, but if you read the dictionary, this easily fits into the description of an investment. It may be a smart investment. You have a return, but it's an investment for some.
Do you have a portfolio manager? Because call him tomorrow and ask him what he says the word investment is. And if he agrees with you and not me, then have him call me because I'll school his ass all over the block.
I help one of the top guys at Goldman Sachs buy cards.
I will DM you my number.
Twitter and buys whatever I say is good.
Cool. Have Mr. Goldman and Mr. Sachs call me tomorrow, and I will school them. I will meet them out at the Blacktop at 3 p.m. by the flagpole and whoop their ass.
But Mike, they'll be pulling up in a Bentley like I might, or they'll be rolling like a peon, as they would say on the offer, because they invested in cards and they know what they're doing.
Brian, I have a Bentley too. He's 6 years old. He's sleeping in his bed right now.
I love that. That's a great comeback. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, you can make money doing this. You don't have to, but you can.
Everybody has a different definition of anything. Like, Brian probably defines the New York Yankees as a Major League Baseball team, correct? You would say that the New York Yankees are a Major League Baseball team, where Ben says the Oakland A's are. But I say they're like a quad A baseball team due to the fact that supply minor league players with somewhere to go when they get too old. So
let's settle an easy one here, and it's a whole lot easier for a definition. Mark McGwire, 85 or 87?
Which one's his rookie card?
Here's the thing.
No.
I don't think it matters. And again, I argued with Dr. Beckett from 1987 to 1995 about this crap. Every time we would talk about it because XRC, which we started using XRC logos on our draft products for the first card ever we make of a guy, we're using an XRC logo because that's what it is. It's not a rookie card. It's an XRC. It's a pre-rookie card. It's an extended rookie card, even though it's not really an extended set. It's kind of complicated, but I believe it's an XRC. Honestly, it doesn't matter because 92 Stadium Brett Favres are better than 91 Stadium Brett Favres. It's what people want to buy and value. A 92 Chipper Jones Bowman is better than a 91 Chipper Jones Bowman. That people trade the 92 like a rookie card when 91 is the rookie card. That's just how they trade it. And we can't tell people or collect it. However you want, whichever word you want. Trade, collect, hoard,
invest, speculate,
pick your word.
It's all short. It's all the same. So I kind of want to get into a couple things. So we talked about, you said you listened to the show last week, and I appreciate the listen. We love all of our listeners and viewers. But I was watching a Leaf Vault break and of this back in the end of May by Card Collector 2, owns a sports card shop right outside of Columbus. And he opened the box and it led off with like a Joe Montana helmet.
Oh, I saw the Jerry Rice.
Yeah. So there was a Jerry Rice post-it, and my question is like, if it was say a Kirby Puckett one, I could understand that because he's gone. He's not been with us for a number of years. Jerry's a guy that signs pretty frequently and pretty regularly. So why on a post-it where you could have it on?
Well, number one, I certainly did not get Jerry to sign a post-it. I don't even know if that's a post-it or a piece of paper. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
It was in a Beckett slab, and we acquired it that way. We didn't get it slabbed. So we bought it as a slab. But again, you have to remember, we put 9,000 pieces of memorabilia into vault boxes this year. So absolutely, that would be a more unique or criticizable piece compared to the bulk of the stuff, which is mainstream, solid, and some of it's exceptionally cool. So to pick out one item, I would say,
No, and it was
a little picky. But hey, that's what's fun about it is we can look at it and say, I thought that was a little dicey. But man, that photo signed by Val Kilmer that said, "I'm your Huckleberry," that was cool.
Well, no, and I talked to Dan Anderson of Mojo Break on Saturday on our Hobby Hotline show, and I asked him about that, and he kind of chuckled, and he said, we went through as much as we could get, and we had solid stuff throughout. And I said, like, and the one that Ryan opened up with the helmet, there was I want to say a Tatis bat. I mean, there was some really cool stuff. There was a check that was signed by Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka for Rent. I mean, there was a lot of unique things in there that are different, that are very cool. But that just kind of stood out to me because they got very excited. It said Jerry Rice autograph, and they open it up and they're like, it's a post-it.
But how when you buy a box of Topps and you get very excited until you flip it over and see they put black borders on the back and it's chipped all the way around. That happens.
No, it does. And
so you were so pumped until you flipped it over and said, guess what? There's no chance customer service is going to make me ride on this.
Yeah. I called it out, and I kind of had some fun with it, and I think we've had some fun with other things, and so I want to give you the opportunity to come on. That's why, to come on the show and say, hey, listen, this is what we saw, this is what we said, and we, for you to have a platform to kind of talk about and explain, because what happens is a lot of time it's all these conversations in the hobby become one-sided, and it's just pile on. And when you reached out to me, I think it was Monday to hey, let's do something. I was like, heck yeah, man. I mean, we kind of went off last week. I don't know if that motivated or not, but it's like, let's do this. Let's hop on and have some fun. I'm going to bring up one of your favorite topics, and we didn't talk about this, but I want to know. These are two guys that I've met. I've met one, and I've kind of had some good contact with because they were local to me. But Ryan and Colin Tennards, and you guys always have a wonderful back and forth online that gives us plenty to talk about, and certain thjust there. You guys kind of both have gone back and forth through with each other, and if you wanted I just want to kind of give you an open forum the open floor on those guys if you had anything to comment.
They've got a business, and their business is clickbait. You're on YouTube right now. Half of that website is full of clickbait. They tell you watch Jessica Alba bathe, and you click on it, and it's like Rosie O'Donnell tanning. It's not what you think it's going to be. And, it's just that's what it is. It's clickbait. Luca's mom signed his cards. It's this. It's this. And every so often, there are things that need to be exposed in the hobby because they're not right. But then sometimes people look for stuff because once you start that roller coaster, as soon as you quit getting momentum to go up the hill, you're going to fall back down and be done. So they've got to keep trying to find things to fuel the fire and to get people to keep clicking because that's how they make a living. And so, honestly, sometimes some of the stuff is stuff they dig up that's like, it's kind of dicey. But some of the stuff, like Dak Prescott auto pin, which they didn't discover, someone else did, but they definitely spread the word, which was a good thing because people needed to know that it was an issue. of no fault of Panini's, but Dax. And, there's good things that come from that. Even sensationalistic people that are clickbait sometimes do say things that need to be said.
Yeah.
They really do. And so I have no problem from that standpoint. It's when people, they'll hide behind, they'll never say something straight out. They'll hide behind like, well, someone on the blowout message board said, da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, we've heard from sources, da-da-da-da-da-da. They never say every Luka autograph in these 3 styles is fake. Because if they did, they'd be out of business because Panini would bury them because I don't believe they're all fake. There's some variations and who knows. But, that's one of the things where people hide behind kind of a, well, we hear this. The National Enquirer, they've been in business for how many years now? 50 years doing that? Or Us Weekly or whatever they call these things at the grocery store at the counter. So that's just what it is, But with that being said, I have no problem personally because I like spirited debate.
Yeah, well, obviously.
And I think outside of public persona, there's probably some things about our business and what we've built at Leaf, which is a big business now. I think there's probably some things that they would admit off the air. Hey, you know what? That guy knows how to market. That guy knows how to sell product. And he has taken no license and made something out of it.
First issue for National Enquirer is 1926.
There you go.
94 years.
They made it 94 years.
Doing something.
Swirling around the facts. That's pretty good, But again, we can't worry about that. We've got to make cards and try to make things collectors like. Our sales have gone up consistently for the last 5 years. We're easily going to blow away everything this year, and that's good. Listen, we'll make products. If people don't like them, don't buy them.
Yeah.
I'll quit. That's fine. Just quit buying Leaf, and I'll quit, and I'll go do something else. That's totally cool. But I don't have to do anything else because I've done this for long enough and done it pretty well. And it's, we've been very successful in really being thoughtful for the future. We're in great shape. And collectors on the whole are happy. It's a very vocal minority that do most of the negative.
That's what we see. That's pretty much what we see everywhere.
Whole world.
Yeah.
Whole world.
We have 2 last questions here. I really appreciate it. We're over 50 minutes here. We said we were going to go out 15 or 20. It's been amazing. But
we blew the pop stand on that one between our investing banter and
which is great. I mean, that's why we do this. The current state of the hobby versus the future over the next 18 months, 12 to 18 months versus 5 years from now. Where do you see the hobby going? Because we're in a weird time. Like box prices are ridiculous. You're not seeing anything under $100. People going to retail and filling up carts wherever they can, whatever it is. It's just insane right now. So
here's what I'm going to tell you. And again, I think the way I would answer this, I definitely am going to get a shot from my friend there. But realistically, if you look at this as like a market, so there's some element of invest in a market, but whatever the market, the values are, I believe we're early in the bull market. I believe we're early in the growth trajectory for the business. And it sounds crazy. When business was not good 3 years ago, I stood on the stage at the Vegas Industry Summit and said, we're about to enter the biggest bull market in the history of cards. And I luckily was correct. Maybe I saw something or I had a good dream or something and saw it coming. I don't know. But I believe we're still early in the bull market because there aren't enough cards. Even cards like 90 Leaf Thomases and 89 Upper Deck Griffeys. Graded cards, there are not enough high-grade copies for everybody that wants one or everyone that wants 50 or 100 or 20 or whatever people want. For whatever reason they want them. Because they're obsessive ace collectors and just want every 87 Topps McGuire, or because they are obsessive speculators or investors who believe that 89 Upper Deck Griffeys will be $2,500 next year, or Trout updates will be $5,000, whatever they think. I don't know what they think.
Thanks, Steph.
Or 2020 Project Topps cards will be 10 times the price a year from now.
Yeah.
That was last week. This week's different, But
buy 2020 now. Buy. I'm that the crazy. What's the crazy guy that's got the horns?
Jim Cramer.
Jim Cramer.
You like 2020 as an investment?
Well, no, I like it buying it at 13 or 14 bucks.
Yeah.
When people bought too many, especially if they're going to be Brett's. I think if you're able to buy one after they've released under 50 bucks, you're doing something right. Because I think long term these are going to have a little. They're going to have a little collectability, especially with player collectors. I think that's the big thing.
I just have a problem with a Trout when the Trout is worth more than a Topps Update PSA 10. I got a problem with that. And that's why it was stupid. There's no way that card's worth more than the real card. No way, Jose.
Yeah, I'll buy the real card all day.
Unless they're signed, like they're planning to.
Well, but still, I mean, it's like looking. Would you rather have Jason Dominguez or would you rather have a Mickey Mantle?
I mean, listen, Dominguez is trading for a lot of money, and we love that. But I mean, we talked about it in the office today. We're like, man, those prices are a little frothy, aren't they?
1,100. Yeah. If you could only own one card, we ask everybody that we interview on the show. If you could only own one card that you currently own, it's going to be the only sports card or member or entertainment card that you have. You can only have one. What's the one you're going to own?
I think it's the most beautiful card of all time. Is the old Bowman color Pee Wee Reese. He's jumping in the air. It's the most beautiful. Aesthetically, it is the most beautiful card ever made. And every time I look at that card, I remember why cards had magic, because that card is the most wonderful card I have ever seen. I own a few copies in high grade just because I think it's gorgeous. It has nothing to do with – I don't care about Pee Wee Reese. I think that card is hobby card perfection.
I don't think you'll find any disagreement.
I think some sunny shit, but I actually am a real collector who's been around since the 80s. I love this stuff. That's the best card.
I have a question.
Aesthetically, perfection.
To follow up on that, when you were a kid, who were you collecting? Or what were you collecting as a kid?
I mean, when I first started collecting in the early 80s, I was a dumb kid. I just bought like packs of everything, and I played baseball with them or whatever I did because I was young. I was 8 or 10 years old, so I would just like make some game out of the cards, flip them, do whatever the crap I did with them. But I really was one of those guys that in 1986 went bananas. So I was one of those kids that was in the newspaper as a hobby guy that, as one of these card phenoms that sets up at shows and makes all this, you know how they had articles back in the old days about these Wonder Coons or whatever. I was one of these guys. So, I started in the investment or business side of it so early that I've always seen this as a value-driven proposition. But because I love it so much, things like the 53 Bowman color, things like 48 Leaf Honus Wagner we've put in the chewing tobacco in, cards like, there's just cards that I think are fantastic, and they're special because of what they are. The profanity cards I love, the Ripken, the Jim Nettles that says asshole on the bottom of the bat. There's all kinds of great. We made a card in our office that we didn't distribute that has something horrible on the bottom of the bat for one of our competitors we don't like very much. And we just kept that in the office just to look at. But that would be one I would love. I just love stuff that's unique and different. And I can appreciate the collecting side of it, which I'm so thankful I got into the business side because that really helped me appreciate the collecting side of it. And I do collect. I'm the only CEO or owner of a card company that collects cards, which is mind-blowing. People who own these companies don't collect cards. I'm the only one, and it's because I love it.
Well, awesome.
Manufacturer.
I appreciate a full hour tonight. Thank you for coming on and hanging out.
This is like late here in Texas. It's bedtime.
Well, I'll make sure that Steph swings by tomorrow morning with some breakfast for you then.
There you go. Let's go with a Cinnabon, please.
There we go.
Whatever.
Brian, again, thanks so much.
I love the spirited debate.
Yeah, that's great.
All that stuff. But that's what makes our hobby great is that we can joke and we can talk and we can disagree, but we can all find something about it that's magical and beautiful for us.
You walk away friends, and I appreciate your transparency and being a good sport.
Well, it's even better when I'm right. So this is perfect,
And don't leave Twitter.
I appreciate it, guys.
You can't leave Twitter. I appreciate we can't survive without you being on Twitter and having some fun with everybody.
Well, watch my investment buys, because if you look, when I told people to buy 86 Topps Rices about 4 weeks ago, they've almost tripled. And I told everyone right as I was buying them, I said, I'm about to buy every Rice. And sure enough, ding, 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 ding.
There we go. I love it.
Thanks,
and,
guys.
You have an open invite. So anytime you want to come back on, just let one of us know. We'll make it happen, and we'll have some fun.
But you got to ship me a Cinnabon to Texas first so I can eat on air.
No,
dude, I live in Grand Prairie. I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay,
Steph will bring it.
I am social distancing, but if you can leave it on my porch, I would appreciate it.
There we go. You don't want to get too close with Steph. There's things going on there, and
Hey, let Greg know I said hi, and we'll try to get him on the show sometime.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. Really appreciate
Brian.
the answer.
All righty. Cool. Look at that. We have a CEO of a company hanging out this late night. And one, we've gone and been honest with, and he answered all the questions. And the fact that he listened to last week's show is pretty awesome. Guys, we're an hour in. We usually try to stay an hour and a half. Sorry, Uncle Rich. We're probably going to hit 2 hours again like we did last night. We have a lot to get to. I think we're going to have another very spirited debate at the end of the show.
Sorry, stuttering. The difference is that Rich knows that Brian's a bit of a talker, so I'm sure he's expecting 2 hours.
Well, we couldn't have Rich and Brian on at the same time.
Oh no, it'd be a 4-hour show.
I just walk away and go and paint the house and come back and see where they were.
Right.
But let's get into it. The week that was last week's release is Topps Living week 116. We had card 315, Andrew Jones of the Atlanta Braves, sold just over 2,200 cards, and then card 316, Jose Urquidy, rookie pitcher of the Houston Astros, sold 73 over 2,000. So not too far apart there. Not a crazy week, but we've been seeing consistently 2,000. So check out Topps Living staff for a full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set by team and by position. We also had 2019-2020 Panini Noir basketball drop and 2020 Panini Contenders draft picks collegiate football drop. Let's hop into hot off the presses. This week's new releases. Topps Living week 117, card 317, Trevor Bauer, pitcher, Cincinnati Reds.
Little slow keeping track, but here's last week's. Andrew Jones, of course, not with an E, with a U. And Jose Urquidy. And here's this week's. Trevor Bauer and Zach Gallen, yeah.
Card 318, the rookie pitcher, Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Bauer's looking a little upset, a little Bauer madness. But, by the way, he got into it with, who was it? Kyle Loesch. And he called him Boomer, told him to go back to the golf course when they were talking about playing for less money. I love Bauer stepping up for his other players and being different. He even had a video talking about him getting bullied in high school and even by coaches and teachers. And people that went to high school with him spoke up and said, yeah, that happened.
I naturally don't like him due to the teams that he's recently played for. But as a person, it's especially tackling someone who's been who's known to have a chip on his shoulder, Kyle Loesch, ex-twin. There's a reason he's an ex. No props.
Yeah. No, I like the fact that he stood up and said something about it. And he's very open and honest. And the dude has he's Ron Swanson. He says what he thinks. And if you don't like it, well, okay, no big deal. Then don't like me, but here's my point of view. And he doesn't cook, he's not going to hug and kiss you about it. It's, and I kind of like that perspective. And I think hopefully he's his representative for his team with the Players Union. I would love to see him as running the Players Union when he's retired. Seems like a very smart kid. So anyway, Trevor Bauer's out.
Maybe take away the drones.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have 2019-2020 Upper Deck SP Authentic dropped today, about 130 a box. By the way, one of the best buys, if you want to open a box for $130, we're going to get into this week. You're getting 18 packs per box, 5 cards per pack. Doesn't sound like a lot, but listen, you're going to get 1 Future Watches autograph in a box. You're going to get 1 additional auto, 5 1920 Upper Deck updates. You're going to get 1 Spectrum card. You're going to get 6 of these 6 inserts of authentic moments, winners, or SP Essentials, and you're also going to get 3 red parallels in a box. SP is always there's 251 card base set, and again, the product's built around autographs. It's got a really clean look, and the SP Authentic always kind of stood out as a more of a premium brand to even me when I was a kid. There's certain cards have limited autographs. They run 1 in 90 packs. They're also limited auto material versions that come in 4 levels of rarity. The tier 1, which is the easiest, is numbered to 100. The toughest is a tier 4, numbered to 10. The rookie cards are Future Watch cards. Oh, there we go. Young Guns. So David Ayers of the Hurricanes, that goalie, the emergency goalie, got a Young Guns on this. So that's cool. So per Cracknell, the outside of Upper Deck's hockey Young Guns, the traditional most popular rookie card every year is the Future Watch cards. So those are numbered at a $9.99. And they also have autograph versions. Not all the players have autographs, and some of them also have patches, and those are numbered out of 100. So you're going to get 1 rookie autograph in a box that's a sought-after version of the card, or rookie card in hockey. So, I mean, I just have stuck now this year. I'm only going to do base hockey, right? But this is not a bad buy, right? I'm not crazy in saying for $130, this would be a fun little rip.
No, yeah, it definitely would, especially with the breakdown. You're getting the one guaranteed auto. Some of these mock-ups are great. I particularly love in the past couple of years now they've done a throwback to the past. So in this case, 99 2000 retro signed at the times, but actually have them signed in the spot that maybe they would have in 99 2000 had the technology and distribution been a little bit better. Some of the mock-ups are great, and it's a pretty strong rookie class this year. So,
oh yeah, I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys that have popped already, and sometimes in hockey it's going to take a year or two. We didn't get a full season, so plus
you got the emergency backup goalie. So
yeah, so nice rip. Also dropping this week, 2020 Topps Tier 1 baseball hits Friday, $200 a box. You're going to get 1 pack per box, 3 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 autos and a mem card. It basically continues without any major changes from the last few years. Again, you're going to be looking for bat knobs and bat barrels, which are awesome. That bat barrel is always such a cool looking piece of card. They have the Tier 1 autographs. Those are case hits again, and they're numbered out of 199. They're also going to have base. They're also going to have ink-based parallels. So bronze is out of 25, silver's out of 10, and then the gold 1 of 1s. The new edition is what they call a next level autograph. That's a numbered out of 50. And again, they're going to have cut signatures and cut signature relics. And those are going to be the toughest pulls of the product because they all be 1 of 1s.
Have they announced an actual print run for those?
No. Or who's on there? I've not seen yet a checklist.
Yeah, not print run, but the base checklist.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so
there's finally released a checklist? Nice. Okay,
yeah, cool. It did come out. It wasn't out earlier this morning, so.
Yeah, I looked this morning to see what was out. If you're only getting 3 cards for $200, I can imagine people are going to be asking for astronomical prices on the secondary to try to cover their IRR when it comes down to, some of the lower names on the checklist. I mean, that's just, if you don't hit something big, you're going to have to try to sell. I remember something like a Paul O'Neill out of 199 a couple years back selling. Mm-hmm. Somebody listed it for like $150, and I'm like, oh dear Jesus. Yeah, and I know that there was an A's I picked up. I forget what the guy's name was because he was some knucklehead pitcher, and the guy had like $125 on that, and I'm like, come on, dude, that's a $10 card.
Real quick, if you hit a Blake Trahan auto, you're going to be pretty disappointed in your return.
I imagine a lot of people are probably going to be a little disappointed.
This is something to get into a break with, or if someone's doing a mixer and they drop one of these in there.
No, that'd be great. Yeah. The only way that if you're going to get into a break, that you'd have to either have a lot of this product. I did a 5-star one quite a few years back, probably like 2012, and I hit a Reggie Jackson out of 15. But man, I was sweating the whole time because there was only like 20 total hits. So therefore, some of the checklist is going to be imbalanced and top heavy with the Yankees and Red Sox, Cubs, Dodgers,
Royals.
But
so that's popping out. Those are breaks I love to watch though, because when they hit a bat barrel, it's just awesome. We also have 2020 Panini Score Football dropping Friday. Guys, $250 a box right now. 10 packs per box, 40 cards per pack. They've changed the config a little bit. So normally this box back in the day was $100. You're going to get 1 auto and some relics, kind of like jumbo baseball. But now you're going to get 4 autographs, 36 inserts, 10 parallels. So you should be able to get about 80% of the base set built because it is a 440 card set. The first 330 are all vets, and then the next 110 cards are rookies. Mm-hmm. So that's quite a few rookie cards. Traditionally, it scores very heavy on the rookie autos, but there are also going to be some veteran autos too. Retail does have several exclusives that expand the checklist even further with parallels that are exclusive to hobby or to retail only. Mem cards are on the checklist, but they're only in retail. Rookie cards are going to be all college images and college details, as this product was slated to come out right after the draft, but with COVID and everything, it got pushed. There are a couple of inserts to take a look at. Is Intergalactic. It's a new theme that's a case hit, which is what
kind of has a 70s 3D effect going on.
And then another great one is the Breakthrough, which I think looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also doing the Breakfast of Champions, which I think was that they did in basketball. We really liked as well. So I think it's going to take you to a Wheaties page. But.
Of course.
as you pull that up. So no, I mean, it's crazy the price point. People kind of flipped out, but I think now because you're getting the 4 autos in a box versus back in the day it was like 1 or 2, you're going to have quite a few cards in there. It's still, again, going to be very hit and miss on that. So also coming out this week on Friday, 2019-2020 Panini Court Kings basketball, $350 a box, 1 pack per box, 10 cards per pack, 2 autos indoor mem, 2 inserts, a parallel, and a rookie short print. It's a 199 card base set. The base set has rookies getting 4 different cards. Each style has a different design and feel and different levels of rarity. Rookie 1 are the most common. Those are considered the base rookies. 2 and 3 are extremely tough, and rookie 4 combos combined to land 1 per box. So
team bias aside, I really like the look of rookies 3. Just the background design kind of looks like doodles.
Yeah. So very interesting. We're seeing a lot of variations. There's also First Steps. That's a 10-card insert set that's new, but showing off rookie footwear. We saw this in last week's basketball release as well, where they had pictures of cards. That was in Noir. So a lot of cards going on in shoes because now the NBA is allowing players to wear shoes that don't match their team colors. They're not as rigid, ruly wise, which I think is kind of cool. Let the players have a little personality, and if it's on their feet, then why not, right? There's also all the cards are on autograph and all numbered to 149 or less. That's pretty awesome. Fresh Paint and Heir Apparents have rookies. Those are going to be the rookie autos, and then they have legacy signatures, and those are going to be NBA legends. But you look at that Aurora, that's another insert set that just like pops. These harken back to, we talked about this, pro visions.
I was going to say Baywatch with the logo, but
well, yeah, but they or our buddy Good Life's YouTube channel. But these cards, they look like pro. And when we were kids, a Provision was the card to have, right? I mean, they were sharp inserts, and it's good to see those kind of coming back. So, yeah. So it's good, $350 a box for some basketball right now. You're looking $35 a card. Hey, that's a pretty good deal for basketball in 2020. Oh man, I don't even know where we are anymore, fellas. So there we go. That was check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more detail on all these new releases. We love Ryan. Thank you so much. What's brewing next week's releases? 2020 Topps Diamond Icons drops. 1920 Upper Deck Ultimate Hockey Collection. 2020 Panini Donruss Diamond Kings Baseball comes out. I think somebody bought some first off the line. Stacked and rolling in the cash, buying first off the line. And 1920 Panini Nationals Treasures Basketball. I think the first off the line started at $30K this morning. So, yeah, let's get in and get some of that stuff. So, we want to get into it. There was a question by Mike back during the interview with Brian asking about joining the Clear Bench Media Sports Card Network. So, funny thing is that some of the guys on the Hobby Hotline, we talked about this today. We've never been asked. We would take under consideration, but at this point in time, like that Twitter account started in February. We launched the Hobby Hotline with some big time podcast and some big time support behind us between other people that could not be part of the Hobby Hotline group. You can look at the Hobby Hotline as a network itself. I mean, we have 6 very popular podcasts all together doing 2 different shows together.
In addition to their own shows.
In addition to our own shows, we publicize everybody's show, but I think there's like 3 people now. Hey, and all 4 of them, if they want to do that, just different. And I don't know if you guys have any words on it, but we're never going to say no to anything. Like I believe in. Like whenever I play fantasy sports or baseball card trades, I'm never going to say just flat out no, never that's going to happen. I'm always willing to listen, and take it under advisement. But at this point in time, I don't see any reason for us to. But I don't know if you guys have any different thoughts.
No, I mean, that's pretty fair. Plus, I like the competition. Not in a I wish them bad and their product needs to go out of line. No, let them run their episodes. I've listened to a few. I've talked to a few of them in person. Pat Geek, lives in the local area here. All super nice guys, and I wish their shows success. I don't see us necessarily all needing to be Disney, so to speak, where they have ESPN, they have Star Wars, they have Disney naturally, they have all of these all underneath their branch. What's wrong with some competition?
Yeah, well, and one of the guys involved, we were invited to be a part of the Hobby Hotline, and we got fairly far into the whole conversation about it, and then he opted out without mentioning a word, which is his right, but then he started unfollowing everybody, and then this pops up. So to me, it's just a little curious about their motivation and the fact that I don't have a problem with Pat Geek and one of the other guys. It's just there's one guy specifically that I just rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, hey, if you don't want to be a part of this, cool. But then to go start your own and start unfollowing people, it's like, I thought for the most part, most of the podcast got along. As you could see on the Hobby Hotline, we all came together as a collaborative effort to try to expand some of the content creation within the hobby. Personally, I don't have any desire. I don't wish them any ill will. Good for them if they can offer good new content. You can like more than one television show simultaneously.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room and space to go around, and I'm good with it. So hey, it's one of those things, and let's rock and roll. Let's have some fun with it. And Mike, welcome. I'm glad that you found us through hanging when we had Blake on. And by the way, man, we had Blake on earlier than most everybody. Hanging out on the show and broke the news of the McGuire, which has been fabulous. His Trout dropped today with Ben Baller, so Steph's going through binders of stuff.
Somebody was talking about how they liked vintage, so I figured I'd show mine off since I had the binder right there.
You always have that binder next to you. It's whatever we talk about. I could be like, man, remember '86? Donruss, and boom, there's stuff with a binder.
That's in the car.
Has binders will travel.
It's almost like he has a DeLorean and he watches the show tomorrow and then comes back to yesterday and gets ready. Yeah,
or that little thing and the little medallion that Hermione had in Harry Potter, right? Where she could. Anyway,
not a Harry Potter fan, dude. That one went woo.
And that was Ben Wilson being on about the cards. He's no longer part of the show. Welcome back. Let's get into it. Infield chatter, our hobby talk section. The Hobby Hotline is live this Saturday on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, with Drew Herndon from Let Me Get That Potograph, John Newman of Sports Card Nation, and Mike Summer, who we started his career here, let's be honest, from Wax Pack Hero Sports Card Minute, and some of the best dad jokes on TikTok. So he's got some awesome dad jokes. And then we also have the Monday Night Heat live on Mondays on YouTube, the same stations. And right now we're at 4, maybe 5 o'clock. We're still going to negotiate that time. Let us know what you think. We did episode 1 at 4. We might try episode 2 at 5. What do you think, Ben? We do it at 5? I think we can make an executive decision right now because we're on live before everybody else.
I prefer 5 just because I can't be involved any earlier. 5's even stretching it.
That's why people are voting for 4.
That's exactly why. I prefer 5. I think 5 and 8. Central's always going to get kind of a raw deal because
they're the flyover states. They don't
they are. They only count in this hobby because that's where everything is produced.
You only count if you have a coast, baby. West Coast, East Coast. There's no middle coast. You don't hear any middle coast rappers.
Just like to reiterate how long it took you guys to actually put something together, and it only actually happened after I said, "Hey, why don't we do it?"
That's not you're misremembering.
You misremembered that, Roger.
You misremember a lot of things.
By the way, have you checked out that Thunder intro for the Hobby Hotline Monday Night Heat? And I think that we got the title from someone in chat last week, so I don't remember exactly who said it, but I think I stole that from our. What's up?
So we'll have to go back and find out who they were.
Yeah, I stole it, so I appreciate you naming it. So it's
misappropriated.
Misappropriated the title. I appreciate it. Awesome, Tiger King. By the way, we talked a little about this with Brian about Carol Baskin, but at Zach Millweed on Twitter said, thought I'd post this and give you all a laugh. My producer is going to pull up the photo here. Mountain is the best time. What is mountain? Like, nobody knows what mountain time is.
Let's be honest. Colorado and some other flyovers.
I think it's like literally just Colorado.
Yeah. So this is an 87 Topps design rookie card of Joe Exotic. And on the back, he says, to Chris, never played baseball in my life. Love you, Joe Exotic. You can send off to Joe in prison and get autographs.
See, he's in Central Time.
He's in prison in Oklahoma.
I sent that picture. I sent that picture to Heather earlier via DM, and she goes, I can't read it. I'm like, apparently, if you send Joe something, he'll autograph it or write you back. And she's like, dude, I'm doing that. And I'm like, we mentioned it earlier with Brian. Like, and then what? Then you have something from the Tiger King in your house. And she's like, I'm doing it, and you can't stop me. And I'm like, all righty then.
We're going to put that on all of our shirts now. Best podcast. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Joe Exotic, fun. Great autograph. But by the way, if you guys have ever been through Oklahoma, just drive through it. It's the best thing I can say is get through. Either end up in Kansas, which is probably not a lot better, even though I'm from there, or get to Texas. But get the out of there because that is, tornadoes are going to come get you. It's not a lot of fun there. What do you think Durant came to the West Coast and now is on the East Coast, right? Marvels. So I don't know. This is another insert set, guys. We really loved when this came out. This is from 2019-2020 Donruss basketball. It's an insert set, and this is from at Wife to the Beard on Twitter. And I did not leak the tweet.
See, I'd pull it up, but
yeah. But it's she said, thank you so much, Card Collector 2. Even though it's our firstborn is now 2, we're going to call him Ryan from now on. But what it was is a great picture of all of the Marvel inserts from 2019-2020 Donruss, all put together in one of those shadow boxes or one of those boxes from it looked like from Michael's. It was pretty awesome.
One of those like 6x6s or what size?
Yeah, and you could slide the 20 cards in there. So that was really cool. The last one they needed was Zion.
Do you know if that went to the podcast or collect ship?
Podcast.
Okay.
And so Ryan, our buddy, who just hit a year at his card shop. What a crazy year for that kid. To be through this time and still have a card shop and keep going and has been doing some great stuff. He's, by the way, if you ever have Mosaic retail, like reach out to him first. He's buying it like it's going out of style. So outstanding. Hopefully Steph can pull that up. We're gonna keep going, but Steph, if you can effort that picture, I'd love to show it off. That's my fault. Bad setup. Printing one of ones.
Chip. Here it is. Boop, boop.
A couple of clicks here.
Boop.
7 or 8 clicks.
It's wrong window. Ha. Boop, boop.
Oh, there we go. We're gonna get it someday, fellas. We're learning technology here. There we go. There's the picture.
So here's all 4 or 5
together.
So I guess 20. And then here's the one that he was missing, or she was missing, I guess. They were missing.
They're going to rename their son Ryan just because of that. So that's pretty sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Great insert.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things like, hey, like I can't afford to collect all this stuff, but if I can grab, an insert set and build it like that, that's pretty awesome. We also have a question from Caniac Collector. Printing plate, one of ones. Today's hobby question. Do you consider a printing plate a true one of one? There were 79 votes. Ron, 54% of you said yes. 45% said no. I think I voted yes on this. I could kind of go either way.
Sure.
On it. I'm not a big fan of printing plates, even if it's like my guy. Like, I don't ever seek them out. If someone were to trade me one, or I was going to find one in like a $1 box or something, I might grab it. But I've never been a big fan. I don't get the hoopla.
Yeah, they're okay, and yeah, I mean, if you're going to get down to the technical side of it, yes, they are one of ones, right? Because it's a yellow printing plate, and there's only one yellow printing plate per card. But technically, they're also one of fours because there are 4 separate printing plates to create one card. So I think this is. I voted no because it technically is a 1 of 4. But I think this is one of those ones where two things can be true simultaneously. I mean, I put them as 1 of 1s in my database because that's what they are. But at the same time, I mean, I think they're just one of those things where I don't know anybody that really collects printing plates. I mean, I have some. Yeah, I probably have a dozen or 2 dozen in my collection. A lot of them are Cespedes. But at the end of the day, I could do without them and be all right.
I just like, if you're able to get all of them, having all 4 of them side by side. So in this case, I'm still missing one.
I have that.
I hope you do.
I have I think 2 sets of printing plates that are.
Of course, certain colors look better, and this just happens to be my leaf binder, so that's what you're going to see. But being able to see the progression between the cards and having all 4 of them side by side is just really unique.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's get into it. So Bowman 2020, the real quick thing. I just thought this was awesome stuff. You can pull up this picture. I think it was after the show on Thursday that this came out. But at Cheap Front Breaks, Houdini on Twitter sent out this photo of Steph's just digging through his cards there.
I don't want to the binder.
Of his Bowman cases, and from what I could count, there were at least 60 cases of jumbo, and at least 50 more cases visible. It was pretty intense. I think that's his kids sitting on top of him, but right in front of us, those are all jumbo cases, and there was at least 60 there, and then behind you can see, I don't know how far back it goes, but quite a few more.
So 5 back, 3 across. You're talking, 5 up, and a cube of 9 in each direction. So you're talking what?
That's 6. No, that's 6.
Is that 6? I only see 3.
1, 2, 3,
1,
4,
2,
5, 6 times 3. 6 times 3.
Right. So 18 just in this first row. Back 3. 18, 36. What? 54?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. So. Yeah, they've made plenty of this. They've made plenty of this, and it sucks that you may not be able to open a box, but through trades and buying a few blasters, I've been able to put the set together. Bowman base prospects and chrome, so it's available if you want to do that. I know it's all about chasing the autos and the being able to say you hit the Dominguez, but I don't think buying a $600 box and not hitting a Dominguez auto is the best. You could have until this week bought Dominguez auto for that price. So they're going for like $1,000 now. So God knows what. We're going to hit Project 2020 and cancellations. So at DAC, T-Mac fan cards tweeted out Project 2020, someone who bought 4 held me up last night saying, if you don't refund me X numbers per card, I need a refund. I didn't write back because I was on a family walk, and he writes again, okay, big boy, ship the cards, and we'll see what happens. Okay, telephone tough guy, awesome. I know Twins Jake is letting buyers know who cancel them. Hey, that's fine. I'm just going to block you from buying from me forever, and then I'm also going to let everybody on social media know about it, and then I'm also going to let all the other big sellers of Project 2020 know your buying name too. So have fun. I mean, really? This is where we are because you went and got all excited and blew your load on a $600 card now or whatever it happens to be. You got to back out and be a pansy because the price dropped. And, if you can't afford it, don't buy it, bro.
Yeah, but
that's simple.
What cracks me up is I wish somebody was keeping a database of not just the eBay names, but their feedback. Because most of the feedback are less than 200, which it doesn't necessarily say anything. But if you're seeing 10, 15, 20 of these with similar sob stories and they're all, 12, 72, 112, it just goes to show that these probably aren't established buyers. And they really don't have a concern whatsoever outside of their own pocketbook. I mean, you're not buying this because, I had one of our mutual friends, Jeff Baker, Gypsy Oak, reach out to me and say, hey, I have an extra McGuire from Natural, and said, hey, if you didn't pick one up, I'll sell it to you below what it was currently going for at the time, which would have been a great deal. But it's one of those things that if I hadn't had one, I'd have to go pay an outrageous price for it. And that's understandable. But the people that are canceling are literally speculating. And when the market tanked and they bought at a well above, artificial market, that's just what that is, and they're all chuckleheads.
Yeah. I mean, the prices got insane so quick. I was one of those guys like pump the brakes a little bit because it's taking weeks to get these from Topps. Once you buy them and the window closes, it's not like they're showing up the end of the week.
Right.
There's a huge delay in purchase date and date delivered, no matter what service you're using.
Well, and didn't it go from like 10 to 15 days or something to 15 to 30 because the enormity of the print runs forced Topps? And I would imagine, the amount of top loaders that they had to have, or one touches, excuse me. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands they must have had to begin with before this started. But when you go from 2,000 a day times 2 to 100,000 and then 65,000 during the same day, I mean, ridiculous, right? I mean, and with China being closed and a lot of that stuff being produced abroad, you have, and then the biggest issue I think on eBay is, again, Tim is the original buyer from Topps. Steph buys 5 and then from Tim, and then Steph sells them to Ben, and Ben sells them to somebody else, and this is all a ripple effect of pre-sales.
And before I get them.
Before you get them. So Steph doesn't have them, and Steph has already sold them at 200, and Ben sells them at 400, and this happens 4 or 5 people deep, and then the market shifts, and that 5th person cancels, the 4th person cancels, Ben cancels, Steph cancels, and now Tim is left holding the bag. And I think there's some of that going on. How much, I don't know. But I'm sure you're having pre-sales, on top of pre-sales, 3 to 5 sellers deep. And that's creating issues when you start getting cancellations.
And this is why I'm only buying from Topps Direct. I'll pay the extra couple bucks. Guarantee I get it sent to my house. And I know I have the car, and it's all through them, and I'm not worrying about anything else. I mean, Twins Jake does a really good job. He's going to get the stuff out to you. But, again, you have to wait for Topps to ship it to him, then for him to ship it to you. So, again, there's, depending on how quick you want it, and there's going to be a longer delay.
Sure.
And if you run it right away, then spend the extra coin to do that. I mean, it's just like when you ship anything, right? You pay a premium to ship something to you quicker than slower. First night over at Night Air is a lot more expensive than, ground, just because of the way it's going to get to you. So there's that. We were going to talk a little about the field, Mark McGuire, but I think we're going to hold off tonight just because we went so long with Brian. There's a lot to get to in that card. We have a couple of questions about the McDonald's logo, the 85 card that's on the shoulder.
Well, we might have somebody that wants to come in and talk about it after they ship, so might have a surprise guest.
So I bought one, and the only other McGuire, outside of the Bretts, I was only buying cards that kind of like, I bought the Mr. Padre one, that Tony Gwynn, because I just thought it was awesome.
Sure.
And I lived in San Diego, and what he meant to that town was, and he was, again, probably my second favorite player when I was growing up. So I was like, I'm going to buy that one. I bought Blake's McGuire. I bought Blake's Trout today because I was like, hey, if I'm going to buy an extra card or a random card of a player, I'm going to lean towards his. But I bought this Theo McGuire because when I saw it, it spoke to me with all the different stuff. There was the rookie cup. There's a lot going on in that card, and I can't wait to see it in hand and what it looks like. So we're going to talk about that next week. I went kind of like Ben yesterday. It was Tuesday. I was getting kind of crazy. Steph said I needed a Snickers, so my wife got me a bag of fun size here, so I don't lose my mind anymore.
I think you guys are finally in tune and communicating because Tuesday is the problem day.
Yeah,
mine's usually Friday.
It used to be
it's Tuesday.
Only.
Well,
yeah, we have
like,
proof.
For whatever reason, when Ben wants to have his arguments and fights, it's always the day before the show. And then Tim went ahead and see. I'm already getting you two confused. Tim went ahead and had his headaches yesterday. And I sent Rich a message saying, "Yep, it's Tuesday."
And guess what? The tweet got deleted. It went away after I kind of said some stuff. I don't know if the gentleman from Twitter that listens to the show, I think it's Sir, Old Man Sir or something. That was we were going back and forth yesterday, and I said, "Hey, come on and hang out with us. If we have time, we'll go on together and talk about it." I lost his name here in my DMs, but Sir Retire Sir on Twitter reached out and we were going back and forth over someone's tweet that they were like bitching and moaning because an LCS was selling blaster boxes of 2020 Bowman. I went back and said, "Hey, listen, there are distributors that have retail products in their warehouse, and they offer those to card shops. Card shops buy those to give customers a better price point to buy new stuff if they can versus a hobby box. If you went into a LCS right now, you're looking at $325 plus for a hobby box of Bowman, $600 plus for a jumbo box. If you can't find Bowman on the shelf at your Walmart and Target because someone went and didn't leave any for the kids, but they have blasters of the LCS for $30, it at least gives you an option to hop in. Some LCSs aren't able to get as much product as they would like because their spend with the manufacturers or the distributors isn't as much as somebody else. The distributors don't care how long you've been their customer. They don't care if you have brick and mortar, if you're online. What they're going to do is they're going to let the customers that spend the most dollars with them year over year, month to month, week to week, day to day, be able to get the biggest allotment of the stuff. And that's just the way it is. And that's how they run their business. So I have zero ill will against any business that's trying to stay in business, to have a physical place to go and buy cards for collectors locally. They said it prices collectors out and it drives them away. A $600 box doesn't do that. A $600 box doesn't do that to you. So, sometimes you don't always get what you want. And it was like, okay, well, we go to communism and say every box is $100 no matter what. And everybody gets one box. I mean, guys, this is where we are. It's not fucking Little League. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this. It just really upset me because it's like, it's an open free market. You can either buy it or don't buy it. You can either accept the price or move on. And if you don't want to pay that, then buy what you want on the secondary market because it's available and most of it's relatively priced relatively well. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
Well, and I know that we in the past have covered something similar where we discussed whether it's right for a hobby shop to be able to purchase stuff that's intended for retail. I think we came to the consensus that, it's not morally right, but it's their business. If they would like to do that, so be it. I'm agreeing from the past that if a business wants to do that and someone wants to buy from that business, sure. I think most of the hang-up is whether it's the business that's going through to buying all of these all off the shelf and then tripling the price in their own shelf. It kind of goes against the intended purpose.
Yeah, but if they can get it.
That, Tim, years ago, probably like a year ago, since this podcast has only been around for 2 years, so I can't say years as it's, like as in 2+. But right. Towards the beginning of our show, you had shared a picture of Mike's sports card out of Colorado. Mike Fruitman had bought a bunch of retail, probably from a distributor. That's what he said, and I take him at his word. I'm sure that's what he did. But the picture that he had posted looked really bad because it looked like a retail display on his wall. I see it from both sides. On one hand, you have the business; they're free to do whatever they want in a free market, right? Capitalism. If a distributor, has them available and wants to offer them to an LCS, why shouldn't the LCS be able to buy them and throw a 30% markup and toss them on their shelf, right? Or even a higher markup if it's Bowman or Mosaic or whatever the flavor of the week is. But then you look at it from the consumer side, it looks bad because I go to my local Walmart and none of those products are available. I go to my LCS and I see the wall loaded up. My assumption, and that's on me, not on the LCS, my assumption is that guy got to Walmart before me, and now he's bought them at $20 a pop, and he's charging $50 a pop, even though in reality that's not the case. He bought them directly from the distributor. I think the optics look bad, especially when you're seeing a picture on Twitter. And our first assumption, just like it was mine with Mike Fruitman, it was like, hey, dude, how many targets did you go buy out today to load up your shelf? Which is not the case. But I think it looks bad to the average person who is getting frustrated when they go to the retailer and somebody has bought out the shelf, including the cardboard, before them.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I just, it's one of those things like, well, my thing is I'm never going to fault them for trying to provide other options to their customer or for them to stay in business. Because everybody complains, hey, there's not enough card shops. So that card shop next by me closed, to physically go in and get that. If that's what they need to do to stay open because they can't get enough hobby boxes in there. Because let me tell you, dealing with a distributor myself, I'm not a big spender, right? I was always able to get as many, like at least a case of a flagship of hobby and jumbo the last year. But now I'm getting a box of each at the Series 2 release with the explanation, oh, yeah, they didn't make as much, or they didn't. No, that's not the case. No, I just don't spend enough. Just tell me that. I get that. And, and so that's the disappointing fact. And I had a side chat with somebody else that sells online that actually is out of Tennessee, and their business partner, Ben, is in El Dorado Hills. So I guarantee you we probably run into this guy at some shows. But going back, and they said, in 2017, they were able to buy 50 cases of Bowman. Different cases of Bowman. And every year since, everything's been cut down to where they're down to a couple of cases now. Even though their pre-orders are getting cut by 50%, 60% on everything. And they go, we still try to spend tons of money and we're just not able to do it. So it's crazy. And I know a lot of people are going to lose their mind because Bowman Mega's hit, out there, and, people are selling like crazy. So
for what's worth nearly 2 years ago.
Is there a checklist for Bowman Mega yet? I looked earlier and I didn't see one. But I saw an insert of an ace player that wasn't on the original Bowman checklist. So I'm assuming there's going to be a few new cards to collect.
Yeah, and trust me. I mean, when you see a Bowman Mega card in front of you, I mean, they're sharp looking cards. I thought I had one here, but I don't. But to me, it's. Well,
and one thing that's overlooked real quick, I worked with an LCS for a while, a couple of years back, running his breaks, and he tried to buy everything cash off the truck. The problem is, we all know how short-sighted this hobby is. That we have the attention span of goldfish. That the new product comes out 7 to 10 days later, we've all moved on to the next. The flavor of this week. And the issue is, as an LCS, the brick and mortar business model is declining because as prices raise and allocations hit us hard, the cash flow that you have to have is so enormous, and you have to sell this stuff immediately. If I'm buying a case of Bowman and I've got 12 boxes coming in, I have to have Tim's money in my hand, and I have to have Steph's money in my hand, and I have to have 5, 6, 7 of those already sold, so I can just buy it off the UPS truck. But then the other problem is when Joe and Bob and Steve come into my shop later today, I have to have some of it on the shelf, but I've got to eat that cost up front. And I'm sure some people buy on time, right? They buy on credit, which may or may not be a good business model. But a lot of small businesses, I mean, and that's not just isolated to LCSs. There's a lot of small businesses that have that same issue. But the bottom line is that LCS has to have a lot of cash flow, and the higher that these cases get. So to defend the ones that go out to a distributor and say, hey, let me get some of these retail boxes, that also might be cost effective for them. It might be easier for them with their cash flow to buy some of that because it's just not going to cost them as much. Yet I can still offer Tim and Steph. I can still say, hey, I've got some Bowman baseball for you at a lower price point, even though I'd like to be able to dance with the bigger boys. That dance is just costing me too much money on a week by week basis.
Yeah, and so real quick, the RLCS here, Ben, he was selling Contenders draft pick football for $295 or $300 a box, and other card shops, like, people reached out and asked him what he was selling it at and said, "You're a moron. I'm selling it for $350, $375." And he's like, "What I pre-ordered this for, I'm okay with what I'm making." He goes, "Last year I did give this stuff away at a loss." It's where we are right now. I mean, Eric says, yeah, Twins, it's exactly what upsets me. People taking a $25 Mosaic and selling it for $100. Guys, if you had the opportunity, a lot of this, I think, is people upset because they're not the ones selling something for $25 for $100.
Sure.
If you were the one doing that, you would have no problem with it. See, I've done it, and I have no problem with it. And I don't have anybody, and if I hadn't done it, I still wouldn't have anybody doing a problem with it, because guess what? There was an opportunity. They took advantage of the opportunity, and they're taking advantage of the people now that are spending $100 on a box that's $25. Trust me, I bought those hanger packs of Mosaic, right? I sold everything, and I opened 2 myself. They were utter garbage. I didn't get a rookie card.
You sold the good ones.
What's up?
You sold the good ones.
I had pulled one Luca card, which I sold, which paid for the two hanger packs. I talked to somebody else that bought 2 off of me. He said I threw the cards away. He said there wasn't a star out of the 36 cards. There was not a rookie or a star that was worth trying to even hold on to or even try to put on the internet. He's like, just threw them away. I'm telling you, if I could sell a hot bag of dog shit for $100, I'm feeding my dog refried beans all day long, and I'm just going to follow him with a plastic bag and tie it to his butt. And I love you, Madden. I would just sit behind his butt all day long and package that up and sell it. Because guess what? If you're dumb enough to buy a hot bag of dog shit from me for $25, I'm going to provide it. Like Brian said, there's products he hates making. People buy it. So he's like, well, why not?
Right. So in other words, if Tim goes on Periscope tomorrow with a live video, do not watch it. Just be careful. If a dog
poop sales.
If a dog hops in, just click off. No,
you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Real quick though, if you're selling Mosaic for 25 to 100 at a 4x multiplier, yeah, people are just jealous. But let's not compare this. Tim, you got 2 young babies in diapers. I got 1. When the pandemic really first started and toilet paper's flying off the shelves, the other thing that was going off the shelves was baby wipes, right, for people to sanitize. Mm-hmm. And I was getting pissed.
They're just a wet napkin.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting pissed. Now, granted, I could give my kid a bath every time. I can rinse him off in the sink and wipe him down with there's alternatives. But come on, people. You're buying wipes that are designed for baby bottoms, and you're selling them at $20 a pop because you got to Walmart first in the morning. I mean, Mosaic's not something we have to have. Let's not compare it to other things. Bottom line is, if you need Mosaic that bad right now, either get to Walmart first or you're paying $100. You don't have to like it, but that's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, and relatedly, and as I wrote it in chat, but just so it's audible, I had an issue with Panini's first off the line. So I did get a box. So I will say that much. I do have a box of Diamond Kings, and we'll probably break it here if I get it before we leave the live on channel. I do have a box of 2020 first off the line Diamond Kings. However, so the box started reverse auction where it started at $250. It slowly go down in price every 5 minutes. I think it started off slower, and then it went to about $10, $11, $12 depending on which hop it was. And they stated that the final drop down would be to $72 a box. Not going to mention how much I paid. But in the final seconds that it ticked away before that last countdown, I was ready. I had my phone. I was signed in, had a card associated, ready to process. The last second ticks away, the price drops. I hit purchase, busy, sold out. Now, it's different than going to a store and finding out that something's sold out, but that's still extremely disappointing that we can't find a better way. And this is the better of the solutions that they've had so far to get product into people's hands, of people that want the product, not just bots.
Yeah. No, I mean that's where it is. I mean, I agree with you. That the bot thing is crazy, and when you ever have a technology, somebody's always going to take advantage of it. And by the way, I like Pomo, pissed off, missed out. That along with pack perverts, awesome. So really quick, I want to show you something. So Eric Van the Man 57 on Twitter is one of my a great collector here locally, and he always hooks me up with like donation stuff that they get the LCS that no one they drop off, or stuff that he's gone through he's not collecting. He gave me 2 boxes yesterday full of Heritage. This year's Heritage. Now these boxes retail when you open them are $150 right now. Some ungodly price, because they're normally like $80, or they used to be $80. Full of cards. The rookies were pulled, and the hit was pulled, but inside the box, and I don't know if these were his or someone else's, was the one of the buyback cards, and also 2, all the high numbers that came out of that box, those 2 boxes. And, it's like...
You broke up there a little bit, Tim.
Like, collectors, man, they're only after certain things, and if they don't get it, they're pissed, and they dump it. And they move on. What's up?
Yeah, was that you cutting out, or was that me?
And I don't know. And, tomorrow...
Maybe it's me. Also, to answer a question from Tim
tomorrow,
in chat, first off the line,
National Treasures,
$30,000, somewhere in that price range. So Panini will send out these emails whenever they're announcing a product, and it'll give you a rough price range and when the auction starts.
Yeah. No, and so it's crazy. And we talked to Dan on the Hobby Hotline, and he laughed at even if it's $7,500 a box.
Yeah.
And he's opened National Treasures forever, like 10 years now. There's people that are going to buy those boxes. Like I said, they're going to get Ty Jerome, Admiral Schofield, and Kyle Guy are going to be their 3 rookies in there. And they're going to take it in the shorts.
Dude, when National Treasures first came out, I believe it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 2011. 13? Well, there was 12 because it had Cespedes rookie cards in it.
Yeah, I think 11. But I think
maybe 11.
Might have been 1 in 10, but I know like on 11, that's in 12 is when they started doing all of the sports.
But I know baseball was selling the boxes of National Treasures. Baseball was selling for $500 because I got into a few breaks where you're guaranteed to hit at $60. So the breaker wasn't making a ton of money, but they were making a little bit of money. And it was one of those things where for $50 you're guaranteed to hit, and you get a 1 in 8 chance of being number 1. And it's a draft style, right? And I got into 3 or 4 of those back in 2012, and I got some decent stuff out of it. That was back in the day before I realized what I wanted to collect. But $500 a box at that time, I was just like, dude, this is insane. You're only getting 8 cards.
Yeah. Tim says, hey, why is 1920 hoops $325 a box? Because people are stupid. I had a couple boxes of that. I sold for like $100 because let me tell you, if you pre-order the stuff, it was less than $75 a box. And it's hoops. Don't buy it, people, because you're looking for that Zion auto. You could go buy that Zion auto. And hoops really isn't that collectible compared to Prism or to Mosaic or to Donruss Optic. And you could go buy an auto or a silver for around that same price point for that one card you're hunting for. It's dumb. It's dumb. And I don't know, these basketball collectors are crazy. And I'm serious, man. There's not a basketball box that is under like $250 right now.
If you're gonna,
we're almost at 2 hours. I think we should.
Tim breaking up a little bit.
Okay, I didn't know if it was me or someone else.
No, I'm good.
I disappeared into the Neverlands. Oh, it's a Neverland Ranch.
Just a quick follow up on these boxes. Unless you're willing to dive in with these big boys, if you're buying one box, you're just not gonna get that unless the grace of the hobby god is on your side. You're not gonna get enough out of one box to warrant that return. You're gonna have to open in volume, and the people that are opening in volume to get these Zions or Morants or whomever, you can't dive in with them. So if you've got $325 to spend, go allocate that. If hoops is your jam, cool. Go allocate that $325 differently. Buy your singles, buy your set, buy whatever. Odds are very unlikely you're going to hit that Trout, that big hit, which in this case right now is Zion, and that's just what that is. So just be careful.
And guys, hey, we had a couple. We talked about some viewer shout outs and people that supported the show. We had a couple big misses last week, and we apologize. And I even said, hey, we're going to miss some people because there's been so many of, like, Tim Seaberg's in the chat all the time, chopping it up with us. Mike is a new listener, so welcome, Mike. We appreciate that. There's so many awesome people out there, but we
always missed them. I think last week.
Dan Curry and Cardboard, George KBO Collections.
Yes, they are two different people.
And when we put that list together last week, we were trying our best off the top of our head right as the show was beginning. It was 5 minutes till showtime. We're like, dude, we should do some shout outs for episode 100. And we just started throwing names down. So it was one of those things where it was such a late addition to the show that we meant no offense to anybody that has supported us.
If we name you all, we would, to be honest.
We kind of tops Rangers did.
It was just last minute scenario. And so, we apologize. Tim, I know you had a couple people on the list that we wanted to reach out to that we didn't mention.
First one's Foul5 Ball, who's been really big in the chat and support us on there and outstanding. And then Bayside Breakers is awesome. I mean, I think I know Steph had an awesome mail day recently. He sent unsolicited. I did too, and it included some really nice stuff. One being a George Brett relic.
Some number,
but the other was a
I don't,
some Bobby Wicks.
I don't have what he sent me, but I'll pretend like I'm flashing. Yeah, I sent out a tweet showing all the cool stuff that he sent, and it's not often that people hit me up on Twitter, every so often, or they'll send me stuff randomly and say, "Hey, do you have this?" or "Here, just have this. It's better in your collection." And Bayside found a couple things I didn't have, stuff that I would have probably pursued or had on a watch list, just never picked up. So Bayside's cool. And real quick, John P. sent me this.
It's upside down. Come on.
This
very nice,
awesome piece. The 88 record breakers, and even had the show name on there, which is cool. And John P. is a great friend, great listener.
Killing in the chat tonight, by the way. I was trying not to laugh. Steph's losing his mind over here.
I wanted to go back and forth with him, but Brian was gracious with his time, and we could say what we want about him. We have said what we want about him. He was a good sport, but John was full of references, and not too many of them. By not too many, I mean none of them were favorable towards Brian. So I'm sure it was meant in good fun. But yeah, it was hard to.
If he can have fun at himself and he gets it, I think we all kind of do. And in the long scheme of things, we're talking about men and people on little pieces of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day,
well, and I think he kind of knew
that perspective in the crazy world that we're in right now.
I think he kind of knew that this would be like going to the card shop where you're going to rag on each other back and forth, but it's all meant. It's not mean spirited. We're not coming after you. We're not threatening to sue you. We're just having a discussion, airing our grievances, and going our own ways if we have disagreement. Yeah.
And he was open, and the thing was, we asked him some questions, and I think, we put it out there. Hey, if you have questions for us, and we try to get everyone's answered, and he was honest with us. And when I talked to him on the phone, he said, "Hey, the only thing I can't talk about is certain lawsuits, and for legal reasons." And I don't blame him. Like, okay, that's fine. We don't.
What
the thing is they're boring. let's talk about stuff that people have been talking. No, I mean, seriously, we cover them here.
Yeah.
But there was other things people wanted to know more about than legalese things. And so that's where we went with it. And so I appreciate his time. Guys, remember, live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
And Central.
Remember to watch the Hobby Hotline this Saturday with Drew, John, and Mike at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Call in with any questions, comments. We appreciate the support. Check out Monday Night Heat. Monday nights. And make sure to subscribe to review our show on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter about the cards. Follow Ben at our trading cards. Follow Stuff at Junk Wax Twins. You can always follow me at Big Shep 79. Please make sure to share your hobby stories, great pulls, and send your questions our way. Keep collecting, and we'll see you all next week.